Hello, you beautiful, strong, and ambitious woman of the club. Welcome to part 3 of week 1, Vision Week of Starting from Scratch free live masterclass series. Now, if you are wondering why this sounds a little different, this is a re-recorded, refined, and re-engineered version of this presentation. Now, we wanted to up the game. We have a very high standard here at the club, and we want to make sure that we give you the best every single time. Whether you're here for free or whether you are paying, it doesn't matter to us. We have a high standard, and we want to make sure that we help you to succeed. Our goal is to impact over 1 million women to help them build the businesses and brands of their dreams. And you could be one of those women. You are one of those women to me, and I do not want to cheat you in any way. So what we have done is we have upped the game, we've upped the ante, and we've made sure that this masterclass is as impactful as it possibly can be. So if you are watching for the second time, if you've been here before, then definitely make sure that you stay till the end so that you can get a better grasp of what it means to unearth your diamond. So let's jump straight into it. So in this masterclass, we are going to be going through how you can unearth your diamond. What does it mean to have a diamond status influence or a business? Now, before we get into it, feel free to take a screenshot, take short videos, and share on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on LinkedIn. All of our accounts are at CLUBSHEIS. So I hope you have your pen, your paper, your juice, your cup of tea, not a glass of wine, but you can have some cranberry, and let's get into this. Okay, so just a quick recap from last week. So in our first masterclass, we spoke about true value. It is the underlying value behind your products and your services, right? We spoke about the baker. The baker, she bakes delicious cakes. And in normal times, she would bake a cake, sell it to people, they'd come to a store, they'd get it, she'd give it to them. But when you are faced with uncertain circumstances, when things get a little different, you have to get down to your true value. And once we looked at the baker, we realized that her true value is not the cake itself, but it is in providing people with methods of having their own delicious cake. They can come buy it from her. They can buy her recipes. They can even watch her master classes where she'll teach them how to make their own delicious cakes. So her value is not the cake. The value is in giving delicious cakes, whether it is in physical format, whether it is teaching people. She can even release ebooks. She can do videos. Whatever way she can give people delicious cakes, that is her true value. It's not her baking, it's the delicious cake. The knowledge she has in creating delicious cakes, which she can transfer in all different types of ways. Now, understanding a true value allows you to pivot and to provide your value through different mediums, just as we showed with the baker, right? It's not just in baking a cake, it is in writing a recipe of a cake, in teaching someone how to make a cake. So that value can be transferred and translated through different mediums. Then finding your true value by exploring your interests, experience, and expertise. There are new opportunities out there that you can find when you find where they intersect. So we want to find an amazing opportunity for us where we will succeed, right? And our approach to that is to find our love, the things we are interested in, what we know, our expertise, what we've done, our experience, and finding how they intersect with a unique opportunity for us. So then recapping on part 2, which was all about opportunity. Now that you know your true value, the next question is, where will you go to make a success out of it? Now we looked at ways for you to find the right opportunity for you and how you can find your niche or your spot in your industry. So the first thing that we said is that there are certain clues that you can look out for to find your industry. The first is that you can find a busy industry. Where is the money flowing? Where is it going? How is the market? So when we follow the money, we find opportunity because we find a place where there are customers and they are hungry for something within that market. The second place is that we can look internationally for busy trends or markets. International trends tend to seep into the African continent a little later. So if we look internationally, we look at other provinces, we look at other countries, we look abroad into other continents, then we can start to see what is trending somewhere else and is there a possibility of that trending where we are. And that way we can get into a successful market early on. Then the third thing is that don't go where you can't find any competition. So if you can't find anyone to compete with, it's because there are no customers there. If you go into a spot or an industry where there are no customers, it means that it's on you to make the customers come to you. Whereas if you go into an industry that already has money, it already has customers, then it is about getting a piece of the pie instead of having to create a whole new market, which is extremely risky. And in these times, we want to try and avoid as much risk as we possibly can. So going a little deeper into that, we said that the next thing that you can do is that once you have found the industry that you want to work in, you look at your competitors and then you look at 3 factors. Who do they sell to? What are they selling? And how are they selling? From there, you can find your opportunity by changing, bettering, or improving one of these 3 factors. And that is where we find our unique opportunity. Now, taking it a step further, in this masterclass, I want to show you how you can create a successful business that is like a diamond status business, diamond status influence. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take this a step further. So building a business or influence that stands out from the crowd, right? We want to go beyond just finding a market or finding a niche. We want to operate in a space where we will dominate and get great success. We want to build such great success for us that it lasts beyond our years, from the days that we even disappear. If we were to decide to even sell our business, we want to create something so valuable that it goes just beyond us. But how are we going to then find that, right? We know how to find our opportunity. We know how to find our unique success. But how do we find that tilt, that extra something, that thing that makes us stand out from the crowd, that will make us dominate and build great success for us? We want to make that money. You know what I mean? We want to own, we want to dominate, we want to be queens of our castle. Where can we find that space that when we operate there, we will find success that is beyond our own thinking and beyond our imagination? The key here is that there are 3 situations where you will find that there's little or no competition. We want to get into business, we want to get into influence in such a way that we have very few people to compete with. We want to be in a space where, yes, there's money and there's opportunity, but how do we find a unique space for us? Where if we occupy that space, if we start that influence in this niche, or if we start our business in this niche, there will be very little or no competition. Therefore, it makes it easy for us to stand out. It makes it easy for us to attract our unique customers. So there are 3 circumstances where this will actually happen for you. So what we said is that the key to finding our unique opportunity, right, is to first research our competition. So we're going to find our industry. We found it. Good. So we're going to look at the individuals and the businesses in that market or industry and focus on the ones that align with our true value. So we know what makes us valuable, and we know what we want to offer. We know the industry we want to get into. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to research that industry. Who are the players in this industry? Who is in this? Who are the influencers that stand out? Who is at the top of their game, right? Then we're going to analyze them and look at 3 factors. Who are they serving? What are they selling? And how are they selling it? Right. So once we've done that, then we're going to find our opportunity by changing one of the 3 things. We're going to either change, better, or improve one of those 3 things. So let's make an example, right? Let's look at the beauty influence industry, which is one of the easier ones to do because it's so popular. So we look at the current industry. Many of the influencers that are currently big at the moment are serving a very common industry, which is a common market, which is young girls between the ages of 16 to 25. So if you really wanted to stand out in that market, and we think to ourselves, okay, who are they serving? It's about 16 to 25-year-old females. Okay. Now, what products or services are they selling? They are selling tutorials, and they're showing people how to use makeup. And they are getting the money from brands who pay them to use their products. So how are they doing it? Through tutorials. Okay, so what are we going to change to make sure that we stand out as influencers in this industry? Remember, we only want to change one thing. We don't want to change the thing that works really well. So the thing that works really well, we've seen it, tried, tested, proven, is that the tutorial method works really well. So through social media and through video, the tutorial method works. So we're going to keep the how. What? We love beauty, we love makeup, and that's why we're in this industry. So we're going to keep the what. But the how, but the who can be changed, right? Who are we selling to? If you were to get into that industry and say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to do the tutorial method. I am going to use makeup brands and use products the same way, but instead of going for the younger ladies, I'm going to speak about makeup for older women. So women who have wrinkles. If you are an older lady trying to get into that space and you think to yourself, how do you do makeup on aging skin? If you were to specifically focus on that market, that immediately differentiates you. It immediately puts you ahead of everybody else. But what if you're not that old and you're thinking to yourself, what can I do? Maybe you specifically focus on, you're changing the who, remember. So maybe then you decide, let me specifically focus on women's 9 to 5 makeup. That's all I'm doing. Only speaking to women who have 9 to 5s. Corporate women. That's all I'm speaking to. No date nights, no parties, none of that. We're going to specifically talk about airport makeup, boardroom makeup, everyday business makeup. What are you supposed to do? How do you do your makeup quickly in the mornings when you have to rush off to a meeting? Specifically speaking to the needs of the women who are in corporate. So you think to yourself, I will then speak to women aged 30 to 40, specifically 9 to 5ers in corporate. And just like that, you found your unique opportunity by changing one of the 3 factors. So we want to keep going. We want to take this a step further. So the key here is to keep analyzing one of those 3 factors until one of these 3 things happens, right? So we said to find our unique opportunity, we're going to analyze those 3 factors until we find our unique opportunity. But if you want to take that a step further and you want to find an opportunity in a way that you have very little competition or no competition at all, then you have to keep digging, go further, keep asking yourself, what can I change? Can I change the who? Can I change the how? Can I change the what? Remember, only change one thing and keep digging, keep analyzing that one thing until one of these 3 things happens. You keep analyzing until you either are the first to provide that service in that market, or you are the biggest to provide that product or service in the market, or thirdly, you're the best to provide that product or service in the market. So when you are analyzing those 3 things, you pick your one factor, either the who, the what, or the how, and you keep analyzing it and you keep working it until you are either the first, the biggest, or the best to provide that service in that way. So our example of how you can work the beauty industry is an example how we could be possibly the first to provide the service that way, right? And if you're in business, you may have the opportunity to be the biggest to provide a product or a service that way. Now, when you are the best, it's a very subjective thing, right? Now, it's objective, sorry. And it means that it's up to other people to decide whether they like you or not. But when it comes to the first and the biggest, you can definitely keep working your niche until you're either the first, the biggest, or the best to do that specific product or that specific service in your market. So an example is Cliff Central, right? Now, I don't know if you remember when Gareth Cliff was still on 5FM, and he was huge. I mean, Gareth Cliff he had the numbers. He had hundreds of thousands of people listening to him every day on radio. And when it came time for him to leave 5FM, he made an announcement, but didn't announce where he would be going to. And so many people were wondering where he'd go. And a lot of people were thinking he'd go to 702. Come 1st of April, I think, that's usually the time when radio stations announce the new lineup. He opened Cliff Central and became the first podcast platform in South Africa. And that title can never be taken away from him. No matter how many other people create their own podcast platforms. For example, we know that Jacaranda has its own podcast platform. We know that Thibaut Touch has his own podcast platform. But Gareth Cliff, having Cliff Central, will always be the first. So he is the first in his market. So he thought to himself, okay, so the who is going to be the same. So it's same audience, same market. The what is still going to be the same. So I'm still going to record radio shows, but the how, the delivery is going to be different. So instead of delivering it through a public broadcaster, he's delivering it on podcast. And that's how he was able to find a unique opportunity for himself. Now, we all know this face. Her name is Mihlali, who's in the beauty industry, and she's the biggest in her industry in South Africa. Now, it's very hard to become the biggest, but if you have the opportunity to become the biggest in your industry, you should go for it. Now, it's very hard to become the biggest in an industry that already has money, but it becomes easier when you niche down. So if you continue to niche down, if you continue to narrow down either your audience or the method of delivery or how you do the thing or what you're doing, then you will create a niche for yourself where you're either the first, the biggest, or the best to do it. And the more you niche, the more you stand out. So the more you continue to ask yourself, which one of these three factors am I going to change until I am the first, the biggest, or the best, then it means that you stand out. You put yourself on the same level as other people who are the first, the biggest, or the best in other categories, subcategories in your industry. So the key here is to be the first, the biggest, or the best. So we're going to keep working the who, the what, or the how until we are the first, the biggest, or the best. When you are the first, no one can take away that title from you, no matter how hard people try and no matter how many new entries there are on the market. Somebody can come and be the biggest, but you will always be the first. So if you can niche down until you are the first person to do things that way, then you will earn yourself a title that no one else can take away from you. And also, when you are the biggest, when you have the biggest numbers, when you have the most customers, it will take a lot of time, energy, and resources for your competitors to overtake you. So you want to keep working the who, the what, and the how until you are one of these three things, because it means that you will have very little competition or no competition at all, depending on how well you work the who, the what, and the how. So that is the first point of becoming a diamond. A diamond is something that is very hard to destroy. You either need a diamond cutter or a special laser to cut a diamond. It is virtually indestructible. And that is the first element of being a diamond status influencer or a diamond status entrepreneur, is to be hard to compete with, untouchable and virtually indestructible. And one of the best ways to do that is to niche down, to find your unique opportunity. Become a pool of just one, right? A category of just one, where you are the biggest, the best, or the first to do that in your industry. That's how you become hard to compete with, untouchable and indestructible. So let's continue to look at this diamond thing, right? So diamonds were a symbol of power, status, and were mostly used by royalty and powerful leaders. And this was all the way back 3000 AD. Diamonds have been around, I think, since the beginning of Earth. And therefore, they had a very big industrial use, right? So they were used by people when they discovered that they were so hard. It's one of the hardest known natural materials known to man. So they use it to cut other things. They use it to cut metals. They use it to cut other hard substances. It's used a lot in mining, in car manufacturing, so in factories and in industrial sectors. They used diamonds because of its indestructible nature. So you need a very special laser or a harder diamond to cut another diamond. So the harder the diamond, the more flawless it is, right? So the less impurities it will have and the more time it will take to create that diamond. So that's how indestructible and just how special diamonds are. Diamonds are used to cut metals and rocks and all these other materials which are considered to be hard, but diamonds are harder, and that's why they are used. Another interesting fact about diamonds is that Harry Oppenheimer, which is, you can probably know that surname from some of the richest families in South Africa, the son of the founder of De Beers saw a huge opportunity to sell diamonds to the public. So until this time, they were still used quite industrially, right? And they were used by kings and queens in their crowns and in their jewelry. But it wasn't really a thing that was used by the public, by me and you, right? But in 1938, he approached NW Ayer, a advertising agency in New York, and they created a campaign that would create a perception amongst the public that diamonds were a work of art. Now, remember, a perception, right? Advertising is all about changing people's minds or making them think one thing about something. So they began working together, and in 1948, which is almost 10 years later, NW Ayer created a Diamond is Forever slogan and ad campaign. Ever since then, diamonds started to be extremely popular amongst the public. Women were like, if you think our relationship is going to last forever, buy me something that's going to last forever. And so husbands or potential husbands were pressurized into buying these things that last forever, things that could never be destroyed or destructed. No matter how much it's buried, no matter how much it's burnt, this diamond will continue to last. And that was a symbol of love. And they created the perception so well that even till today, women have diamonds on their rings, right? They say put a rock on it. If our love is going to last forever, then you need to buy me something that lasts forever. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, my boo? So like me, I got a diamond, I got a rock on my finger. So other women also wanted rocks on their fingers, specifically diamonds, to show that love. But this was all done because perceptions were changed. Perception is everything. Once you have people's perception, changing people's perceptions can change the way that people see you, value you, and also use you. So changing people's perceptions can make you think you're more expensive than what you are. And that's exactly what diamonds did. Not only were they more in demand, but the price of diamonds from a customer point of view, public customer point of view, also started to rise. So the Diamonds Are Forever slogan is the thing that really made diamonds be in demand amongst the public. So what lessons can we take from this? If you want to be diamond status, if you want your influence or your business to be diamond status, then the second thing you want to do is you want to increase your perceived value. You want to change people's opinions about you or influence people's opinions about you so that they value what you have. The third thing that you want to do is that you want to have a brand or a business that lasts forever. So when you look at diamond status, it's about number one, being indestructible, right? Being very hard to compete with. The second thing is having a perceived value, having some thought being created in your customers' minds or your audience's minds. And the third thing, being able to last forever. So how are we going to make this happen? The truth about the world is that there's no business that can ever maintain its value forever. Companies go broke all the time. Companies go bankrupt, they sign up for bankruptcy, they die. Companies have zero on their balance sheets. And right now around the world, many businesses and many companies are going through this. They are suffering huge losses, right? So then how are we gonna become indestructible? How do they get to diamond status if companies go bankrupt and go broke, right? So, and influencers and individuals, they can't last forever. People die. It's an unfortunate thing, but we are mortal. We have an expiry date. We will leave this earth. So then if that is the truth of the world, then how can an entrepreneur turn her business into a diamond? And if that's the truth that we have to accept about ourselves, that we are mortal as individuals, as people, then how do we as influencers create something that is indestructible? The answer is to brand yourself. The way that diamonds became a thing of perceived value and people thinking about them being a thing that lasts forever, they may be true, but because they were branded that way, that is how people started to think of diamonds. So if you do the same thing for yourself, branding yourself, then that is how you then get those other two elements of a diamond, having high perceived value and also lasting forever. It has been proven time and time again. If you want to grow a business, grow the brand of the person behind it. Growing the brand of the owner does not mean becoming popular. It means becoming relevant amongst the people who are your audience. We think of JP Morgan when he started his business, right? People know JP Morgan right now as an asset management company that is international. JP Morgan was a man back in the days of America when the economy of America was being built. He built his brand amongst his colleagues. And as a man who helped other people make more money. So he was known only amongst the wealthy. And then he started to grow his brand amongst people who are in his audience. So you want to do the same thing. Grow your personal brand as the entrepreneur to grow your business. Because at the beginning of your business life, it is one of the fastest ways that you can actually grow your business. By growing your personal brand, you help your business to grow faster. It is one of the easiest ways. There are other ways, but this is one that has been tried and tested since the beginning of the economy, of industries. Personal brands have always helped to grow businesses. And as an influencer, you don't want your influence to come and go. You'd like to have something that lasts forever and gives you income until you're a very old woman, right? So if you want your influence to have longevity, then popularity is not enough. There are many influencers that are doing work because they are popular, but unfortunately, popularity is fleeting. So it disappears, it goes away. It is not something that is sustainable. But if you want to stand out, if you want to stick around, if you want longevity, then you need to stand for something. You need to brand yourself. You have to be deliberate about building your personal brand, especially as an influencer, because people think that, yay, now that I've got the numbers, I'm good. I don't have to do anything. But the truth is you have to be very deliberate about branding yourself. So you don't leave things up to chance, because one day you're popular and the next day you're not. But if you brand yourself and you're deliberate about what you stand for, then it makes you in control and you don't leave anything up to chance. So let's look at some of the most popular brands that we know. The Oprah brand, right? So Oprah started off as a talented speaker. She got a job as a newsreader because she was good at it, right? But then she took her brand into her own hands and she took it to the next level. And her brand, you can go and Google this, is a brand of empathy. That is what made Oprah's brand so amazing. It's not that she's a good speaker, it's that Oprah has heart. She has empathy. She knows how to sell empathy. She understands people. She relates with people. She gets into your heart. And that's how we know her as Mama O, right? She relates with us. She has a heart for us. She feels for us. So Oprah has then been able to take that brand and use it to create multiple income streams and multiple platforms from the Oprah brand. So Oprah is an example of how you can take a brand and use it to provide value through various platforms. So that sympathy, that heart, that feeling that we get from Oprah, the brand of empathy, is presented through things such as her magazine, the O magazine. If we look at it, she's telling people stories, relating to them. She's talking about things that help us to feel and relate with other people. Her events, the wellness tour, she has people who are there, and you always see Oprah. If someone's crying, she cries for them. If they're angry, she gets angry with them, right? So she does that through her events as well. Own, her network, where every single thing is quite a feeling network, where everything is about the heart. What are you going through? How can we help you? How can we be with you on that journey? And obviously her podcast, the Super Soul Conversations. So Oprah's value is not her talent of speaking. She's a great speaker, but there are definitely other people who are more talented speakers than her. It is her ability to give empathy and to make other people empathetic for others as well. And that is also something that she's used. She's grown such a big and powerful brand that she is even able to create other brands from her brand. Whatever Oprah touches turns to gold, which is known as the Oprah effect. Once your brand is that powerful, when you co-sign someone else, it helps to grow their brand as well. Then we look at Sophia Omarosa, a badass boss, right? So she's the founder of thrift clothing store, Nasty Girl, and it was called the fastest growing company in Inc. magazine in 2012. She used social media to grow her business and grew revenue from $223,000 to $23 million in 3 years. That's a lot. In 2015, she then used her personal brand. She continued to grow and develop this brand of hers as Girl Boss, and she released her book, her biography called Girl Boss, which was about her entrepreneurial journey. In 2017, Netflix released Girl Boss, the movie, which was it was actually a series, which was from the book. And later that year, Nasty Girl filed for bankruptcy. So the business that she started filed for bankruptcy. And in 2017, it was sold for $20 million. And she continued to then go with the brand that she created, Girl Boss. And she launched Girl Boss Media. And she's now personally worth $5 million. So even though her business went bankrupt, because of the personal brand that she was able to grow for herself, she was then able to pivot and create a different business. And that is the key of having a personal brand. It helps you last forever. So no matter if the business that you create goes into bankruptcy, you can still retain, boss girl, the retain, baba. You are able to then pivot from providing value in this one method to providing value in another method. So the key here to a strong personal brand is that when you have a strong personal brand, you can take the value linked to that brand and present it in different ways. And that's why it's important for you to really get down to the true value that your business and brand has. When you go back to the baker, if she built her personal brand as the woman behind the delicious cakes, we know that whatever she does that is cake related, whether she has a bakery, whether she has a book, a recipe book, whether she has a cooking channel, whether she has a YouTube channel or a podcast or an Instagram channel, whatever it is, you're going to get delicious cakes, right? You don't have to go buy her delicious cakes if you can get her recipe book, or if you can listen to her podcast, or if you can go into, even if she was to open a chef school and she was going to show people how to make delicious cakes, because of the personal brand and the value attached to the personal brand, she's then able to go from bakery to baking school to recipe book, right? Developing different models or different platforms for herself and different streams of income with that one piece of true value presented in different ways. So how can you then start building a personal brand? So how to build a personal brand? What you need to do to start building a personal brand that will allow you to pivot. All right. So personal brand, let's define it. So a personal brand is a person linked to a product, service, information, or opinion of value to a specific group of people. Now, when you break down this definition, this is how I define a personal brand. When you break down this definition, you then start to find out the things that you need to do in order for you to build one yourself. So the first thing that we're going to look for is that you need to have a clear offering, right? We said that a personal brand is someone that is linked to a product, service, information, or opinion. So what product, service, information, or opinion are you linked to as an individual? Choose one, right? You don't have to choose multiple products, services, information, or opinions and have multiple businesses. No, if you really want to build a strong brand, choose one product, one service, one information, or one topic of information, or one topic of opinion that will really make you stand out, right? So what is it? You want to attach that to your person as an individual. Link that to who you are, right? So when we think of the people that we love, we tend to link them to something, right? We look at Connie Ferguson and we think of drama and entertainment, right? We think of Oprah, we think of her empathy, right? Empathy entertainment. And she provides that empathy in entertainment in different types of ways. So what form of opinion, product, service, or information do you have, right? That you can then link it to yourself. That is the first step of then elevating yourself from an ordinary human being to a human being who has a brand, a personal brand. The second thing that you want to do is that you want to make sure that it has value. So the product, the service, information, or opinion, is it valuable to someone? Will it add value to someone's life? And are people willing to pay for it? Right? You don't want to have value that people don't want to pay for. Then it's not valuable. You want to make sure that people are willing to part money for their value. If you can find someone else where people are parting with money for that person's value and it's similar to yours, then it's a good place to start. The third thing that you want to do is you want to have a specific group of people, your tribe, your people, your audience, your target market, your community. So you need to have a clear audience or target market that you're offering your value to, right? Remember, as an influencer, you actually have two audiences. You have your followers that you are building on whatever platform that you have, so the community that you're building, and then you have the brands and businesses that will pay you. So as a speaker, you will have your audience that you're growing on LinkedIn, and then you will have the people you do business with. So the people who are going to book you for talks, the people who are going to book you for radio shows. So you have the people who are going to be, for example, if you're in beauty, you're going to have the followers or the people who watch your content, and then you will have the people who will pay you to use their brands and to do sponsored content. So just remember that if you're going specifically into influencing, whether you're a coach, consultant, a brand influencer, brand ambassador, whatever type of influencer you are, thought leader, you want to remember that you have your community of people who are there for your information or opinion or service that you're giving them. And then obviously there's the people who pay you to use their products or to talk at their gigs or whatever the case may be for you. Then the fourth thing is that you actually want to present and to deliver it. I hear a lot of people say, I have my followers, I have all of these things. Why do people don't want to work with me? The problem is that they leave part 4 out. They don't present and deliver the offering. You can't wait for people to come to you. You actually have to show them that, guys, this is what I'm selling. This is how you can buy it. So what are you selling? Influencers are also selling a service. So make sure that when you build your personal brand, you are selling a service. If, for example, I am an entrepreneur, so I have a personal brand based on entrepreneurship and motivating people to become in control and empowered in their lives, right? So to take control of their lives and to create their own income. So what I am selling is CLUBSHEIS. That is what I sell, right? So what are you selling? Are you an entrepreneur selling your business? Are you influencing for your business? Or are you a personal brand influencer who wants to grow an audience and sell other brands to them? Do you want to influence people to use other brands? What are you selling? Be open and honest about what you're selling, because if you don't tell people what you're selling, then how do you expect them to buy? So make sure that you're clear about what you're offering and present it to people. So let's just recap on those 4 things that make a personal brand. Number 1 is an offering. So what product, service, information, or opinion are you linking to your person, right? That is the first thing you do to then create that personal brand. The second thing, you want to make sure that there's value. What value are you bringing to the table, right? So the baker has cakes. That's a product, but the value is that they are delicious cakes. The baker may have an ebook, that's the product, but the value is that they are delicious books with delicious cake recipes in there, right? She may decide that she's going to have a cake show, baking show. That's the product. But the value, again, is that delicious cake. So what is the value behind what you're doing? Is it empathy like Oprah? Is it the power to make people feel like badass bosses? Is it a specific type of information that you have? Are you able to answer questions that people, are you able to give answers to questions that people have? What is it that is of value that people are willing to pay for? Are you entertaining? Remember, entertainment is also part of value. Can you make people laugh? Can you make people feel beautiful? What is the value behind the thing that you are offering to people? Remember, the product is not the value. What it does is the thing that is valuable. The service is not the value. It's an offering. So the product, the service, information, or opinion, that's the offering. But what they do for people, that's the value. Then third is the audience. Who is your tribe? Who are your community? Who are your people? Who are you serving? Who will you have as a community of people who are behind you, who you want to buy into your brand? And the fourth thing, you actually want to present and offer that thing. You want to deliver that thing. So you need to present it to people. You need to deliver it to people. Tell people that this is what I'm actually doing. This is what I'm selling. There must always be something that you're trying to sell, right? If you're going to make money, you need to sell something. So what is it? All right, so let's just recap on what makes you a diamond. Unearthing your diamond is about doing one or at least one of these three things, or all of these three things. Number one, you want to be hard to compete with, untouchable and indestructible. And you do that by niching down as much as you possibly can, right? Until you are the first, the biggest, or the best. The second thing is to increase your perceived value by making sure that you brand yourself. Branding yourself, having a personal brand, and branding the entrepreneur behind the business and branding the influencer will help to increase your perceived value. And thirdly, you want to last forever. So by finding that value and branding yourself, branding the individual, you're able to pivot. So you're able to go from influencer to businesswoman, from businesswoman to media personality, as an example. So those three things, by niching down as much as you possibly can and by branding yourself, you are then able to achieve the diamond status of being indestructible, having a high perceived value, and lasting forever. So that brings us to the end of this masterclass. Remember, this is part 3 of the starting from scratch free live masterclass series. That brings us to the end of Vision Week. Now we have a workbook for every module. So this part 3, Unearthing Your Diamond, is available. So all you have to do is go onto the recap page and download it. You'll also find it in your emails. And that brings us to the end of Vision Week. Now we are going into Mission Week, which is week 2. It's all about who will you serve, how will you serve them, and what will you serve them with. Answering these questions are the things that are going to help you to know exactly what to do moving on from today. Remember, starting from scratch is for aspiring entrepreneurs and influencers who want a clear vision of what do they want to achieve, what goals do they have for themselves, what do they need to build, what do they have right now, a clear vision of what they have in front of them now, and a clear vision of where they're going to, what are they going to use these things for. And secondly, a mission. What am I going to do? What steps am I going to go? Into? What steps am I going to take to get to where I'm going to? So what is the what, the who, and the how of what I'm doing, right? So we have created a simple branding guide to help you do that. So like I said, let's just quickly recap on Mission Week, on Vision Week, since we're now at the end of Vision Week. The first thing is that you want to find your direction. So what value do you bring to the table? That's the thing that people will be willing to pay for. So what value? What is the underlying value? Your value is not your product, your service, your information, or your opinion. No, because you can change those things. The value is the thing that is produced because of that. Your product, underlying value, right? The product, the service, the information, or opinion is not the value. There's something underneath that. What is the true value that you have? We have the workbook and the masterclass for that. So go through that to find the underlying value. So once you find that thing, that's the thing that's going to allow you to pivot and to provide that value in different ways. Then you want to find your opportunity. That's number 2. What industry and niche are best suited for your unique value, right? There's different ways for you to provide that value. We showed it, right? Oprah has a TV show. She has her events. She has a magazine. So you want to find out, number 1, which industry must I go into? Should I go into media? Should I go into industrials? Should I go into sports? What industry should you go into? Once you're in that industry, you want to find your niche. Okay, so you want to look at the who, the what, the how. Who are the biggest players in this industry? How can I analyze them? And how can I change? Which one of these 3 factors am I going to change for me to find my niche, right? That is where you will build a profit and success. So you want to go into a place where you know that here is where I can take up space and I know that I'll find my success. Then third and finally, what we went through today, which is unearthing your diamond. What do you need to do to make sure that your business or your influence stands the test of time, being indestructible, right? You need to start by branding yourself. That way you increase your perceived value and you also make sure that you stand the test of time, right? That you last forever. So you start with a personal brand. It makes the business journey easier. It makes your business grow faster and your influencer journey more successful, makes you stand out easier. You're not just popular, you actually provide value. Those are the first steps to building your empire. So you will find those in all the workbooks that we have created for you and the masterclasses from Vision Week. And next week, we're going into Mission Week, which is week 2, the final mission, the final week of starting from scratch for aspiring entrepreneurs and influencers who want to have a clear mission and vision for what they want to achieve in their lives, right? The dream that they want to achieve, how are they going to go about achieving that dream? So I'll catch you in Mission Week, where we will go through the who, the what, and the how to create the success that you want for yourself as an influencer or as a business owner. I hope that you enjoyed this. I really want to know how this is going for you. So definitely pop me an email, info@clubsheis.com, and let me know how this masterclass series is going for you. I'd really love to know. And make sure that you check out CLUBSHEIS, where you have the step-by-step guides for building the brand and business that you want, the support that you want to gain to build it. So a community of like-minded women where you can bounce ideas off people and also have access to individual help. So bounce some ideas off me as well. Let's take a chat. Let's see what we can build from this. So I'll see you in Mission Week. All the best.